Capricorn, this is your December 2024 soul story. If you've got a sun, rising or moon in the sign, this is your reading. Happy solar returns if you have a birthday this month. Thank you so much for supporting the channel throughout this year and for joining me here in December. It's Romy and I'm going to open up this month for you with the energy of the Seven of Cups. I think there are contradictions playing out in December, and I think that there's this experience of it almost being like there is a thick cloud cover, and then every now and again you almost see the sun bursting through, affording you like this blazing clarity and something that's deeply validating. I think you can expect almost like 4 seasons in a day type of experiences. I think for you there's an inevitability and a necessity around moving on. And that might also feel incredibly challenging. I think you have choices, but there seems to be one clear front runner for you in the month of December. And there's a sense, I think, of preparation underway in regards to some aspect of your life. Now, we're going to be, of course, experiencing Mercury retrograde in the first part of December, and then Mars is going to join that party on the 6th, turning retrograde in Leo. There's a strong emphasis around second chances with this and the opportunity to slow something down and to really reevaluate. Now, Mars retrograde in Leo is going to afford you some tremendous insight regarding creative projects. You might have a little bit less mojo and drive than you have had up to this point, and it's a natural time at this moment, you know, when you're kind of gearing up to close the year out, that you may feel a little bit exhausted, a bit weary, and just need that rest time. We can also experience with Mars retrograde in Leo a tremendous amount of aggravation and frustration, and it can be a little bit more challenging to direct some of those emotional feelings. And so the tendency for outbursts and impulsive actions is also quite powerful, right? And particularly where pride gets hurt or pride gets in the way. So be mindful around the potential for some misunderstanding or miscommunication early on in December. But I think for you, you know, there's really this sense of moving on is, you know, even with all of the, you know, what that brings is something that feels more necessary than trying to stay. Because the depletion, I think, of what has been comfortable and now no longer so much, or what has been something that you've had to endure or put up with, is now sort of hitting that break point, I think. One of the most important tasks, I believe, that is something that I want you to be mindful of for December is the ability to give yourself credit for who you've become, for how you brought it throughout the entirety of this year, for the version of you that is now, because that version is the one that is most capable of handling what comes next. And I really like this Queen of Pentacles coming in for you. She just brings this tenacity, this resourcefulness, this understanding of what it takes to kind of cut through some of the confusion or the uncertainty, and to really get to the heart of the matter at the same time as setting some really clear boundaries. You know, I think that people have been wrong about you time and time again. It happened in the past, you're experiencing it in some way, shape or form in the present, and it's not something that will ever completely go away. You know, it's not going to stop them. So it really needs to be about you allowing those stories to dissolve and no longer hold you back, limit, or prevent you from taking the next steps and the necessary action to, I suppose, continue to support your peace, your harmony, and what matters most in your world. I think this retrograde in Mars is going to give you a chance to really look at things in a very different light, and perhaps see people in a very different light, and start to withdraw or redirect away from people that, quite frankly, are just walking around really angry, right? And some of that anger, albeit very understandable, is also a direct reflection of where they have not been able to do the necessary work within them or have a healthy outlet to channel that anger. And what you are certainly not going to be in this month of December, Capricorn, is a punch bag for anybody. So it's a season that brings with it a lot of emotional sensitivity, a frenzy, and I think that there's a requirement for you early on in the month to just think about, okay, what do I need? And what is the optimum outcome? And if I know that that optimum outcome simply isn't possible due to obligation, responsibility, or just whatever it is that might be standing in the way of that, then what's the next best scenario for me? So just make sure that you're clear on that, so you're kind of setting the intentions early on. Now I want to call out the 7th of the month. There's some interesting energies that are coalescing. You have the 9 of Swords, which definitely tells me that there's something that's kind of winding you up and making you feel a bit fraught and a bit anxious. However, on the 7th, we have Ceres. She's moving out of your sign. The prolonged stay with her retrograde meant that, there was some lessons and some learning that came from that. But moving into Aquarius, remembering that Ceres is a very nurturing asteroid goddess energy, a bit moon-like, right? Ceres also rules money. Now, coming into Aquarius, we have almost this super fast shift and change, perhaps some unconventional things taking place, because on the same day, Venus is also conjunct with Pluto and the Sun opposing Jupiter and Neptune stationing direct. So there's quite a lot of shift in the energy, which might feel a bit destabilizing, okay? And that's par for the course, I think, in the course of this year and this month particularly. However, I do think there's a real positive upside to this, and I want to go as far as to say a lot of your worst fears are not realized. So I want you to really keep that in mind, and that how things turn about on the 7th, might not be straight away that you see the silver lining or the upside, but there's definitely something, and particularly around finances, prosperity, material, tangible situations. There can be things that move and shift and start to reveal new things, and there's a real transformative experience that can happen in regards to that. But the 9 of Swords here indicates like a lot of eyes on you, and that could feel a little bit uncomfortable, and it may be that something that you have to do or something that you have to say, is going to put you out there or put you in a position where you're going to be up for judgment or up for people having an opinion. And back to what I said, people are always going to have, their ideas about what they think or who they think you are. And I'm sure they've been wrong in the past, they'll be wrong again. You just have to be really clear about your own sense of self. And that's a really significant message for you, I think, in the course of preparing this month in December for something that's coming into your world in a much bigger way over the next year or so. So the 7th is something to look out for, and when Neptune stations direct, I think there's a reminder of some of those ideas, some of the dreams that you've been going back over and trying to maybe figure out, how do I make this work now in the new normal? Is it normal ever? But in the new kind of state of things, right? And there's just this, I feel almost forensic like investigation that you've been undertaking to try to get to the bottom of something. Your Page of Wands is really beautiful because it really opens up a conversation and a dialogue that's perhaps been held back or long overdue. And I think there's almost a part of you that's just like, well, what have I got to lose? Like, I hear you literally saying that phrase, what have I got to lose? So having an important conversation perhaps about your needs, wants and desires, something that, you feel you've got an interest, a passion, a curiosity, and you're like, well, I may as well table this because I really want to spend some time or invest or look into this. And, maybe again, you're aware that it's not going to be the most popular conversation that you need to have, but I think there's just still something about honoring you and all that you've become to get to this place, and this version of you that will stand up and will be counted and will advocate for what matters and what's going to make the difference in your world. Okay, there's something creatively, I think, again, during this retrograde energy. Now, we've got Mars in Leo through till January 6th before it then shifts back into Cancer. And I think during this time, you know, because Leo also rules children, you might be really inspired by something from your childhood, by the children around you, by your inner child. There's an opportunity, you know, through the course of this next few weeks to really see something that, honestly, it might feel overly simplistic, but actually it's got a nugget of worth and value and something that wants to be pursued, because it feels to me like it leads on to something so much more. And perhaps you need to unravel and get to the root or the source of something in order to rebuild and to start to kind of take something in a new direction, or bring a new energy to it that's going to be really quite exciting and bring a little bit of adventure into your world where perhaps something felt a little bit staid or stagnant for some time. Now, of course, we have the full moon arriving on the 15th, mid-month in Gemini. The same day, Mercury, which has been retrograde, will station direct in Sagittarius. You know, there's been some polarizing T-square energy with that Mercury retrograde, and a lot of karma flying around in regards to that, you know, some tenseness happening, and perhaps the bigger picture was a little bit harder to see, you know, seeing the wood for the trees didn't necessarily come easily, right? But something opens up. Now remember, Gemini, and of course we've got Jupiter retrograde in the sign, helping us to think about how we're processing and absorbing information. And so there's a release about how we've done that, right, as Gemini full moon comes along, especially over this last 6 months, and perhaps a readiness to just clear and cleanse ourselves of perhaps all of the, you know, the lower vibrational energy and frequencies that we've been exposed to and picked up. So I think it's going to be a beautiful time to do a real cleanse and a real detox, especially around things that involve, of course, news, information, messaging. So maybe through your social media accounts and, you know, conversations that you've kept on your phone that, you know, maybe are holding like some really low vibe kind of words or conversations, you know. So do that detox around that full moon. You'll really feel the benefit of it, and it feels like it immediately opens up a positive conversation as well. The Four of Swords tells me that there's a commune here meditatively with your spirit guides, and a really beautiful sign coming in that's a very strong angelic presence with you throughout the month of December. It's a time when there's an awful lot of nostalgia and memories that are coming back, both good and bad, at this time of the year. But certainly I feel you are extra supported, extra validated by those that are helping you to navigate what are kind of unprecedented and frankly really tough, difficult pathways for many right now. But again, this moving on is inevitable. And so part of that comes to a place of acceptance as well. And I think that there needs to be this balance of, you know, knowing when to take action, but also knowing when to step back and allow that kind of rest and receive and let things flow towards you. You know, you're definitely going to have more peace and balance when you give yourself the opportunity through the course of December to have a little bit of time out. So lots of white space in the diary, as much as you can make it happen, is a huge, you know, upside for you. And you will, particularly around that full moon, right, between the 15th and the 21st. So, of course, Sagittarius energy is your 12th house, and there is that feeling of, you know, as we've been talking about for some time, this, you know, endings, closure. It's just like, my goodness, what more can leave? What more can come to that point of release? But it keeps coming, doesn't it? And there's definitely this, honestly, I want to say huge sigh of relief for you, maybe just to get to the end of the year, maybe to be on the other side of something, maybe that something's finally been concluded or resolved. But that sigh of relief really lets a lot of tension come away from the body. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if that doesn't then impact you a little bit on a physical energy, because you've been holding that and feeling tense and kind of really wound up by something. So just extra nurturing and taking care of yourself, especially through nourishment, is going to really matter mid-month as well. Okay, so of course the sun shifts into your sign on the 21st, the same day that we celebrate beautiful solstice energy. Always such a sacred time from a ritual perspective to just realign yourself, come back into a rhythm with the earth. We've got the moon here. Trusting in your own intuition is really important. There's a little bit of a spike of fear energy going on here. And I want to remind you, you know, really simplistically, hand on the heart, is this mine? When you're feeling into an energy or an emotion, if your hand's moving toward your heart, it's something for you to deal with. If you feel like you want to pull it away, no, it's not yours, it's someone else's. And you can return it to source, let it be alchemized, let it be transmuted. There's something about your tendency in December to be in some ways a little bit vulnerably open to a lot of other people's stuff. And whilst you are definitely setting more boundaries in place, I think that there's this almost like Achilles heel. So perhaps something that's going on that maybe knocked you or that has impacted you and sort of just taken, you know, you've just felt a little bit off guard with it. And that's put you in an energetic space where it could be easier to just feel like someone else's stuff is yours. Okay, so you want to just be super mindful that that is moving on. I think the moon feels to me like it's unlocking something really powerful for you in December. And I want to say there's something that's incredibly timeless about December for you, classic, rooted in deeper tradition and reverence. And it's you seeking this depth. And, you know, I think sometimes when we pray for something, when we ask for something, we often get the exact opposite, because that's what will help shape the experience, you know. So when we ask for peace, sometimes we feel like we're more tested than ever with chaos and discord, you know. And this is the realization, I think, that you're having. The way that the universe delivers for us sometimes isn't always the way that we would choose, but nonetheless takes us on the most direct route to what we need and what will serve us in the highest way. And so be mindful of that as you seek things and ask for things, and watch how sometimes when the opposite shows up, it's giving you an opportunity to demonstrate how you've grown, how you've overcome, and how you forge the right type of energy within yourself to be prepared for what comes next. And as I said, that moon feels like it's unlocking something really exceptional for you. And, you know, as we make our way toward the end of the month, Chiron, wounded healer planet, is shifting direct on the 29th, right ahead of the new moon in Capricorn. And there's a resolving around a healing experience for you that feels, again, very cathartic. So you definitely have in December this sense of a weight being lifted, of moving on, of just finding some deep sort of it's all right, you know. And I think that's the thing, you know, where there are profoundly contradictory energies in December, it's down to you to have to find a way within yourself to be like, okay, I got to operate in these conditions, in this environment, right, where it isn't clear cut anymore. And so what does that look like? What will that take? And remember what I said, the thick cloud cover will throughout the month be punctuated with the sun like breaking through this brilliant blue sky and just seeing things for what they are, and actually getting a glimpse of what comes next for you in a really powerful, empowering way that feels positive and uplifting, and kind of helps you to again just be like, okay, I can kind of weather anything, I can deal with anything, because I understand and I know and I can see. So that feels like it really matters. Now, even if there is a feeling that something has been quite confusing and you've had to fill in the blanks or try and make sense of something, by the time you get to that new moon, I think there's absolutely no doubt in your mind what the right thing to do is for you. So keep that in mind as you set your new course ahead. Reminder that just ahead of the holiday season, if you celebrate on the 24th, Jupiter is squaring with Saturn. There's some friction, some tension just ahead of things there. However, I feel if you go back to what you were thinking and what you learned around the full moon in Gemini, you're going to be able to apply some sort of tool or technique or understanding that's going to help you immeasurably just through that holiday period over those few days. So keep that in mind. If you're new to the channel, my last 3 cards we're going to look at an extended reading, Capricorn. You'll find the link in the comment section below. We talk for another 30 minutes. We'll look at a personal card and a relationship card for you. I hope that you will join me, and it's a way to invest in the channel. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these cards, see the direction that we're going to take things for you. So you can check out my Sacred Soul support this month. We've got a beautiful Solstice activation. as well as soulful affirmations to help you through the season. And of course, my Life Soul Vision journal is shipping, and you can check out all of my sacred titles, my deck, my book and my journal over on romywiser.com. 3 swords coming in with that 9 of swords. At least something, you know, feels clarifying for you, you know, with that 3. It's just like, rather than looking into the worst case scenario, it's just kind of let's just see exactly, you know, what this is about. And so sometimes we just need the 3. We need the 3 to kind of clear the air almost, don't we? Pentacles, okay, Hermit, 6 of Swords, there's that moving on. What about the Moon? What do we have here? Page of Cups, 10 of Cups, okay. Right, let's have a look at Life Soul Vision Oracle. So this is my own deck. Let's see what we've got coming through for you. Blossoming Soul Song. We've got Sacred Soul Union, Detours from the Divine, Casting Out Constellations. This is the way, this is the work. We've got your Spirit Wolf, Trusting, Queen of Air, Light Language. Beautiful. And then we're going to use the Soul Call Oracle. It's a new deck by one of my soul friends, Kelly. Let's see what it's bringing to this conversation. Star Maps, Find Your Way Home. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you're going to join me for the extended version of the reading. Just a really quick preview of my Life Soul Vision journal. Please do check it out if you haven't already placed your order. This is 276 pages, full colour, beautiful images, working through so much of what will support and help you in your own soul path and spiritual journey. And these sacred titles just really come from the heart, and they all work beautifully together along with the deck and insight and inspiration from my book. So yeah, please do check it out. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here this year, and have a beautiful season, a peaceful season, and I'm going to see you again in 2025.